Look at us getting to episode 50.
Episode 50. I'm just glad that after all this time, we've finally been able to find a rhythm and make sure that we've got good time.
The Gaming Lovers Podcast with Brendo and Jem. G'day and welcome to The Gaming Lovers, episode 50. I'm Jem.
I'm Brendo, the one with the good timing, because I have played Guitar Hero, was pretty good at it, but don't put me on drums because then I definitely have a white man's rhythm.
Did you just say you've got good timing? Wouldn't that then equate to rhythm?
I don't know.
Oh, goodness.
I'm not a musician.
It is the wonderful time of year where the world likes to prank each other, and especially gaming corporations and news reporting articles, like places from like IGN especially love to get in on the April Fool's pranks when it comes to video games. And we wanted to look at some of the best video game April Fool's pranks of all time and look at some of the ones that just came out like today. We don't know all of them because the day is still happening.
It is April 1st.
As we record, anyway.
As we record, it is still April 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Australia being ahead of some of the world, time, dateline-wise. It's funny when Japan starts releasing their little April Fool's jokes and America goes, somebody started April Fool's early, didn't they?
It's like, well, we kind of start every day before you anyway, so there you
We're
go, guys.
in the future. The future is now, thanks to time zones. But
Greetings from the future if you're in the States.
enough about that. Let's make sure we stay in the present and even reflect on the past as we discuss our gaming goals, success or failure for the past week.
Gaming goals.
Jingles.
Oh, yeah, my gaming goals have been much the same of Animal
Crossing. April Fools! It's not Animal Crossing, it's
Stardew Valley.
Much
because
better.
of course it is. But I've been making progress in Stardew Valley. Like, it's nice to see certain little mini milestones in that game being made and coming very close to maxing out some friendships, actually. So
Ooh. I have not maxed out any friendship yet in my Stardew Valley experience. Who's at the top? Who's the tippy top of your best
it depends
friends
on
list?
which playthrough.
Ah, yes. Not only are you absorbed enough in Stardew Valley to enjoy it full time, but you're spread it over 2 different campaigns on 2 different devices.
Yes, well, when you're playing that or Sekiro, I need something to do. If I'm sitting next to you, I'll have the iPad out and play Stardew Valley on that. Not all the time. Sometimes I'll be doing other stuff like, work.
Work.
Who cares about that? No. But the main campaign is on the PlayStation. So I think with that one, it's kind of, at the moment, there's like 3 people that are kind of my main friends. There's Elliot, Sam, and Sebastian. So I'm like, it's a bit of a race.
All
at the moment.
boys.
Yes.
As opposed to my playthrough where I'm besties with the homeless man.
Aww.
So,
Linus.
see, I have the care of the people in need at the top of my priorities. You're just there for the honeys and the hunks. Is that right?
Well, I mean, Elliot does look like Fabio. I find that so funny. Anyway, so yeah, I haven't really done anything else. I have been considering as far as what I will be playing in the next month, now that we've started April.
Purchasing Stardew Valley on a 3rd device?
No.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll get to that at the end of the episode because I've had responses from listeners of suggestions of things that I should try, new things outside my wheelhouse. So we're going to figure out of those suggestions what I'm actually going to attempt. Yay!
Good times. Nothing like pushing yourself out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about that, but willing to give it a go. What about you, mister? How is your farm going?
Well, I've just hit winter and all my plants have died
Aw.
instantly. It's quite lonely in winter. There's nothing to really farm except for plucking roots out of the ground.
Well, you do have your animals to look after if you've made sure that they have heaters.
I have.
So
That was a priority.
But I think the winter landscape is very beautiful. It's kind of relaxing, the music that plays. I mean, it's relaxing every season. I think I feel like that every time. Like, oh, this is so pretty and so relaxing. But there's something very serene and calming almost about just how quiet it is in winter. So enjoy.
Nice. Yeah, I've been using this winter time where there are no crops to focus on gathering materials, making a bit of extra coin by mining, and, like we said, making friends with the locals of Pelican Town. And now that I can make mayonnaise and cheese and pickled pumpkins, everyone's happy with the gifts I'm giving them, except for Hayley. The only gift I'm going to give her is a knife through the chest because she does not like me.
Oh.
Everything I seem to try to give her, she has a little scrunched up
She likes
cloud above her
flowers.
head.
How have you not just given her flowers?
Well, I don't have time to pluck flowers.
There's flowers everywhere in pretty much every other season but winter. You just give her flowers. It's like you literally pick it up and then just hand it to her.
It's a point of principle now. She has got off on the wrong foot completely. I don't like her at all.
Oh my goodness. Well,
Hayley...
we started off on the wrong foot and we recovered, so I think you should give her another chance.
Hey, I'm going to marry Hayley now. Not true. Leah or Abigail, they're the two front runners in that department. It always seems weird telling you about who I plan to marry in a game.
It's not like it's actually you, so it's okay.
Strange. Very strange. But the bulk of my gaming time this week has been allocated to Sekiro. Shadows Die Twice. No surprises there. I did like to use the amount of prayer beads as a spoiler-free update of how far I am in the game. I'm sitting at about 12 to 13-ish prayer beads. It's a nice way because it is so branching. I don't have to reveal what boss I'm up to, which obstacle I'm up against, which pathway I've chosen, because there are branching pathways. My good buddy the Falcon has folded to the pressure and has purchased Sekiro Shadows Die Twice as well. He has sent me texts saying that this game is making his blood boil like no other, which is kind of amusing because at times I think he's more skilled at video games than I am, and I love it when he squirms with frustration at a tough game.
What a great friend.
We're such good buddies. But he sent me a text saying he's up to a certain area, and I'm like, wait, I only reached that like yesterday. How is he there already? But it's because he'd gone up the same path that I went up last, and he went up at first. And yeah, I panicked for a second thinking, he's had this game for like 2 days, and he's done more in those 2 days than I have in like 10. That's not fair.
Well, you've also been farming.
I've been farming. That is the beauty of Stardew Valley, is that when the blood pressure starts to get too high, thanks to Sekiro and its frustratingly high difficulty, I can switch discs, Stardew Valley goes in, the blood pressure comes back down. Nice and relaxing before bed. Wonderful. It's a nice little tandem. I didn't think those two games would sit so well together. Sekiro, I have explained in the last episode that I was using a completely chicken wuss strategy to fight all the bosses I'd experienced so far, of running in circles, using the circle button to sprint, and as soon as they missed an attack, like the ogre dropping an elbow onto me, no, I'm out of the way. You missed, so I hit him once and then run away again. Each boss fight took a long time, but it was the only way I could really seem to do any of the bosses because they were so difficult. Since then, it's time to fight like a man. And after my running for my life strategy completely failed because someone was on a horse, which was faster than me, I had to actually fight face-to-face, man-to-man, parry, parry, slice, jump, parry, slice, parry, parry, slice, slice, parry. And it worked. And I'm feeling much better at my skills because I can parry well. And it's exciting. Especially when I have fought multiple mini-bosses in a row and have not died over 3 consecutive fights. That boosts the confidence, I can tell you.
So how many NPCs have got the dragon rot?
Plenty. The dragon rot does spread. The more you die, the more you resurrect. The more you die, the more they get sick. And we're sitting at about 10, probably. I haven't decided to cure it because I'm never confident as to when I will be performing well. And at the moment, I am up to a boss. How to say without spoilers, there is a cutscene that plays each time you try and face him. So if you've experienced that, you will know what I'm talking about. It's like a major boss because it has a cutscene prior to the fight. And even if you die and respawn again, guess what? They go through the same dialogue in the same cutscene every time. So thumbs up to that. There is no retreating in that fight. I'm up to that. I haven't tried it too many times, but I have experienced that ever so frustrating dilemma where the first time I fought that boss, I did quite well and almost took him down. And then since then, the 5 times I've tried since, I have got nowhere near that level of success. Very frustrating. Very frustrating.
Next time you do get that close, you're going to be so, like, getting sweaty hands, getting, like, nervous palpitations.
The heartbeat. You can feel that pulse of adrenaline go, boy, this is it. Pay attention, Brendo. It's time to fight. It's time to fight. Don't muck it up. Scary stuff. I probably should cure the dragon rot sometime soon because I do have enough of the item to do it. But
you've got more than one now?
I do. I have about 3, thankfully, because you lose half your money when you die. So I just spend it like a madman. I spend it like there's no tomorrow because it'll just get wasted otherwise. So I probably should cure that dragon rot, maybe do some of these side quests with a bunch of NPCs. I have a couple of key items that I know that some of them want, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Hard to tell in these games because I'm trying to avoid all the guides. And quite often in these games, if you do the wrong thing to the wrong NPC, they will try and kill you. So that's how you make friends. Give them the wrong item and they draw their sword at you. Wonderful.
It's a bit of an overreaction to a bad gift.
And just on a quick note, my good buddy the Falcon, according to where I think he is now, I'm expecting a text from him any time, any second now, with him flustered with frustration due to a certain, how should we say, kite-related incident that's due to come up soon. Wonderful. Can't wait for that one.
Oh, my word.
If you have played Sekiro enough, you will know exactly what I'm talking about because it made me squeal with panic the first time it happened to me.
Seriously, one of those moments, even if you didn't want to play the game, or even if you didn't enjoy gaming that much, you would still find watching someone else play that section really funny. Truly, really funny. And a lot of like video game streamers have been sharing that moment because I think everyone got caught off guard with it.
It drops your jaw, and quite often their reaction is just like,
what the...
What? Okay. So I
so funny.
Very excited to hear from my good buddy the Falcon about that one.
Yes. And now everyone's going to be like, what? Googling it.
No, don't Google it. You'll spoil the experience. That's basically all I've really played this week. Haven't done too much handheld gaming because, unfortunately, the realities of life mean I have to study at the moment for work, which does... Look at me being responsible, having sacrificed my gaming time to study. I hate studying.
But it's part of life.
Yeah. So...
Work.
More updates on that later on. But, that's my gaming goals for this week. That's what I've been experiencing. Sekiro, I am very much enjoying. The exploration side, I find that style of game when you're exploring and taking on normal enemies... I don't think there's any video game experience that I like more at the moment than that style. But when I get in the boss fights, which are supposed to be the big epic set pieces, I normally think, I just want this to be over. Can this please just be over? So I can get back to exploring.
Well, it's been an eventful week for some as far as gaming. More on our future gaming goals at the end of this episode. It's time for some April Fool pranks right after this. Share the love. Follow us on Twitter at Brendo and Jem. That's BRENDOJEM.
April 1st, April Fool's Day. I had a friend in school who I asked when their birthday was, and they said it's today, April 1st. And I said, get out of here. You're telling fibs. And it actually was the truth. So I feel sorry for them. Unfortunately, sometimes the pranks don't go the way people expect.
No.
I like pranks, quote unquote, that are harmless, that don't cause anyone too much distress, and can make everybody laugh. The beauty of the video game industry is that their jokes are usually just self-aware, silly reveals or things like that as soon as you
Fake
see
products.
it, you're like, this is obviously not true, but it's darn funny.
Yeah. Well, you still wish it was true, though, for some stuff.
Now, unfortunately, I do have a bit of a bad history with April Fool's Day.
Really?
I'm usually the person who, as soon as I wake up, as soon as my eyes open on the 1st of April, the first conscious thought I have is, you ain't going to get me with that April Fool's garbage.
I ain't afraid of no pranks.
Now, growing up, one year I was sitting down to have my breakfast and out came my elder sister, tears streaming down her face, distressed, distraught, and interrupting me eating my cornflakes. And I asked, what's wrong? And she said, my goldfish is dead. Christopher Bubbles is dead. And I, completely nonplussed, just kept eating my cornflakes. Yeah, right. Not falling for that one. It's April Fool's Day. I'm on to you. Unfortunately, the goldfish had actually died, and my my stone cold reaction to it just hurt her even more. So
I can one up that. It's pretty bad. Back when I worked at the radio station, this was before I was on air. I was working as the receptionist. And the boss comes in first thing in the morning looking very somber. And because I'd grown up on my dad doing a lot of April Fool's jokes, right? I could never take him seriously. So I had learned to not trust anyone that morning of April Fool's Day. So when he comes in and he's like, oh, did you hear the news? I'm like, all right, here we go. He's like, and he mentioned one of the women that worked at the station had sadly had a miscarriage. And I didn't even know that she was pregnant. So I was like, I kind of just went silent and looked at him. I'm like, you know what? Is this an April Fool's prank? Because if it is, it's pretty tasteless. And he's like, he almost looked shocked that I would even suggest that.
You're the bad guy here.
And he's like, no, this isn't a prank. This is real. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it felt really bad for the rest of the day.
Well.
But it was just one of those moments of, when you are so paranoid that everything is going to be a prank, you can't take anything seriously, which I think is kind of dangerous when someone's got real serious news. So a lesson hard learned that day.
Well, your story definitely was more serious, but
Yes.
I find mine to be more funny. So to keep it light and fluffy, let's move on from that topic.
Yes.
And talk about the paranoia of April Fools. So many people I've seen on social media today saying, I hate April Fool's Day. Yeah, there's all these stupid pranks. You're never going to get me. And why are they so offended if they must have had something atrocious happen to them as a prank that they've just been scarred by and as a result are now completely against the fact of having fun?
I think you wouldn't really care about April Fool's Day and the pranks that go on if you hadn't been fooled at some stage. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't fall for them, then it's just amusing to watch. And some of the attempts are pretty bad, but some of them are pretty good. There is one really infamous one that was done by the BBC channel years ago that got so many people upset. This is still one of my favorites, of all-time pranks. They did this mockumentary about how spaghetti is harvested from trees, almost pulled off like fruit, and it's already soft and dangly.
I remember this.
So funny. And people were calling the TV station going, where do I get a spaghetti tree from? That prank was so infamous that there is a restaurant in Melbourne named after it, which I love to go to because it's got really yummy food. But yeah, still, it's just an iconic prank and I think really funny and not a harming one. So we have compiled a list of some of the best video game pranks of all time, but let's have a look at some of the stuff that's happened today that we know of thus far.
Well, before we do get started, what are the rules of engagement for your perception of April Fool's Day? Because some people say it's only up to midday, and then the jokes are aside and we can move on with our day without this paranoia.
That is tradition states that it's supposed to end at midday. that it's only in the morning, which I think was kind of a coward's way out made by the people who invented it. Is I can prank you in the morning, or if I do it like a late morning, then you can't get me back later in the day. Otherwise, you're the fool.
Well,
so
it does make it very difficult to prank you since you rarely emerge from your cocoon of slumber before midday. Well, what has the gaming industry brought out today in this April Fool's Day? It is still early in April Fool's Day, like we said. America would barely even be hitting midnight by the time we start.
Depends
talking.
on which part of the country. You got to remember there's several time zones. So Florida might be awake, but California's still asleep.
So we still got a couple little snippets that have been revealed, mostly by Asia or Australia itself.
First up, PlayStation and their giant key rings.
Yes,
So
to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the PlayStation brand, you too can have replica consoles on your keychain.
that function like a normal console
Well,
and have the same weight
they're
and
the
size.
The same dimensions and weight, and if you're a mega fan, you obviously want to collect the set.
Yeah,
Imagine
have them all
trying
hanging.
Imagine trying to unlock your house front door with 4 consoles hanging off your keychain.
It would like break the metal ring that it hangs off.
More importantly, where are you putting your keys? They're
We're
not going to fit in your pocket.
And if people see replica like consoles just sitting in your car because they can't fit in your bag, then they'd be like, "Oh, I can steal some consoles." It was a pretty funny like fake ad, which is kind of a common April Fool's method, I guess, in this day and age. A lot of fake trailers and things like that.
Well, that what used to be very difficult back in the day of just print magazines is that your most recent episode of Hyper magazine would have something in their April edition, and you wouldn't know if it's true or not because you couldn't just Google the answer.
Yep.
Back in the day. So that was when it was difficult. At least now, everyone just releases fake trailers and
up on YouTube on April 1st. So, and they'll kind of wink and make it a little obvious in this day and age, for the most part anyway,
Over
that
the top.
it is a joke, because I think they're aware that some people don't quite click and so they don't want to get in trouble too much. They want to be like, hey, and in case you didn't know, this is a joke, kind of thing. Another one that's more local to Australia. So in America, it's GameStop, right? In Australia, we have EB, Electronic Boutique Games.
EB Games. It's also EB Games in Canada, I believe.
Oh, there you go. And so for today only, they have launched
Sale.
one day only, and this is a legit perfume. Smell like a winner is the tagline.
It is a running joke that you walk past EB Games in Australia and you always have to make the quick little comment to your friends or whoever's with you. Oh, look, EB's having a sale, because they're always having a sale, and they always advertise that they're having a sale by having a plethora of banners and posters and big flappy things.
Covered in like red and white plastic tablecloths, you know.
Sale, 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 sale. Oh,
Yes.
EB are having a sale. Look at that. Who would have thought?
No, never in a million years would they ever have a sale.
And so they're in on the joke, and they have released, for one day only, an actual honest-to-goodness parfum. Sale. Smell like a winner.
And all the money raised is actually going to charity, so I think that's pretty cool.
To the Starlight Foundation. I'm very tempted to drop the $39.95 and get myself a bottle of Sale. I want to smell like a winner.
Oh, dear. Another one that we just saw almost right before coming into the booth. Google Maps have done stuff on April Fool's Day in the past, and this year they have grafted the game of Snake onto maps. So you can go to key cities around the world, so you can find, I guess, the major city closest to you in your country and play a game of Snake over your map and eat up landmarks and famous faces and things from your country. So we went to Tokyo because we wanted to go and revisit that. But
Yes. And I was having a great time until, A, the joke was on me because I was playing as a train, and a complaint to the extreme every time there's a train in any form of media because I drive trains for a living, and the last thing I want to see when I'm playing video games is a train. Oh, we're in a train yard. Oh, look at that. We're
Be
in an
reminded of
abandoned
work.
train. Ah, always trains. And secondly, the joke was on me because, especially after we talked about the instability of the internet and Google Stadia last episode about how it probably won't work the way they want it to, guess how I failed my game of Snake on Google Maps? Not because I hit a wall, not because I hit myself, but because the internet dropped out and I quit.
Or it quit for you.
Yes. So, yep, the future is now, thanks to Google. They can't even get Snake running
The
right.
future is now, thanks to Google.
Just a bit of internet lag
It'll
there.
be a bit of buffering. Another one that dropped today from one of your favourite gaming series, Yakuza.
Ooh, that's right. Yakuza 6 did come out. They defined it as the end of Kazuma Kiryu's story, but there will be another game set in the same world, in the same atmosphere, just with different characters. And it's been codenamed Shin Yakuza, meaning like new Yakuza in Japanese. And we got our first sneak peek at it today, thanks to somebody filming through a doorway, watching
naughty.
the developers working on it. And wait a second, it's a turn-based JRPG.
Ooh.
No, it's not. But it is kind of funny to see a game that you're so used to one style of gameplay, and then you engage an enemy and they stand off and face each other and just stand there looking at each other, waiting patiently while you take your turn. It's a code of etiquette in the Japanese crime world where you must wait your turn to swing a
And
punch.
take a couple of hits yourself.
Of course. It's only polite. The Japanese are all about their politeness.
I've always made fun of those games. I'm just like, it just makes no sense that this monster is letting you and your team just take turns without retaliating or at least attempting to.
I would eat you, but I have to wait another 4 turns.
Oh, you used a buff, you get more turns. Damn it.
And most importantly, from Nintendo and HAL Laboratories, one of the great gaming icons is going underneath a little bit of redevelopment. The iconic sphere, Kirby, is now, I guess you could call him Cubey, because he's now a square, not a circle.
And on that note, Box Boy changing his appearance to a circle for the day.
Well, you've got to balance the
social media.
universe. The universe does need to be balanced with all its geometry.
Thanks, Thanos. So that is what's been released so far. And as more gets announced, we will be sharing on our social media pages the ones that catch our attention, the ones that make us chuckle. One that I wanted to share before we get into some of the best of all times, I would love to just highlight a story that kind of sounds like an April Fool's prank, to be honest, but is actually real news. And I thought it was just really sweet. There is a YouTube gaming streamer by the name of Shirley Curry, who is 82 years old.
The Skyrim Grandma, as she's affectionately known in the gaming world. The upcoming Elder Scrolls 6. There was a fan petition, 45,000 signatures that people
Wow.
wanted her in the upcoming game because she's that iconic when it comes to Skyrim, which is the Elder Scrolls 5. Who better to place as an NPC in the game? Could you imagine playing a video game and finding yourself, facial captured, voice performance, it's you in the game?
That would be pretty cool. I mean, there are plenty of like famous actors and things like that who have that, whose faces and voices are featured in video games. But for someone who
But
is
as
a
themselves.
streamer, like a real person, not just a performer as a character, but a real person. And I think it's so cool. Like, she's such a sweetie and she's just hilarious to watch on YouTube and saying, "Hi, grandchildren."
And her YouTube banner has her holding an axe while riding on the back of Toothless the Dragon. That is a winner in my book. So good on you, Shirley. You're proving to us all that you can never start gaming too late.
And I think it's kind of great to have someone so iconic in gaming, really, that bucks a lot of stereotypes, especially because there's so many people out there who believe that video games are either for little kids or like guys that your age. And to be fair, you are like the bulk of, I guess, the average gamer age is that from 30s to like 50s, I guess now. Whereas, she's in her 80s.
As the generations have gone on, the age of the average gamer has gone a bit further along the time scale, and I'm fairly sure that an 80-year-old woman is the core demographic for all the new Grand Theft Auto, Fortnite, everything that comes out. That they're targeted
I would love to
at
see her
that.
streaming one of those. She has streamed more than just Skyrim. She's got like Bioshock and other games on there, and it's just funny because she spends so much time
Just observing.
demanding a hot dog from the guy who's at the root beer stand.
You expect someone to move through the story, get shooting, get looting, but she just spends time admiring the banners. And, oh, look at the brickwork. Oh, this is wonderful. If you want a nice, slower-paced, relaxing YouTuber to follow, check her out. Shirley Curry. She's got like 500,000 subscribers. You could join what's obviously the hottest thing going in the gaming landscape.
Now that PewDiePie is no longer king of the gaming streaming online, or, king of YouTube anymore anyway, Shirley Curry is where it's at.
I'm all about it.
We will be back with the best of April Fool's video game pranks after this.
You're listening to the Gaming Lovers Podcast. Want to join the conversation? Visit thegaminglovers.com. Record your comment or question by clicking on the button on the right-hand side. And you could be featured in the next podcast.
When it comes to the video gaming April Fool's jokes of years gone by, there are the good, there's the bad, and there is the downright mean.
Yes. Curdle 3.
That's right, we will start with something near and dear to our hearts. GameRant.com were the meanies who stated that BioWare are working on Knights of the Old Republic 3. Could I want anything more in this world?
Not much.
Not much. Sadly, not true, and it's one of those things that we will always wish for. And every year where it would be announced on April 1st, we'd probably fall for it all over again.
Just like I would totally buy in if someone did a fake Pokemon Snap too. So
we should have done that.
Like, we could have done that.
Mock up a quick box art. Ooh, never trust us.
In a similar vein, Half-Life 3 has been one of those cruel things. Steam themselves were the ones to be cruel that time by having on their homepage Half-Life 3 out now, but it
available
was
for purchase.
A fake link. The little trolls putting the creator's face mixed with that troll meme. And the kind of music as a ha ha ha, we got you.
Half-Life 3, the great white whale that we've been waiting for a decade. And if only it were true. But in a way, I don't think that game will ever be made because it'll never live up to the hype. So
Yeah.
I'm never going to fall for anything saying Half-Life 3 is announced, released. If it's out and people are reviewing it, I don't care. I won't believe it's ever done.
It's become almost mythical and legend that I think if anyone attempted to do it, it would just never ever live up to the unbelievable expectations. It's become the Daisy of the Great Gatsby of games,
Ooh.
So unachievable, unattainable.
We've got literature references everywhere. We've got Moby Dick, The Great Gatsby. This is fantastic. Look at us, cultured individuals.
One of the more amusing pranks, I guess, was a fake trailer for Assassin's Creed on the Kinect.
Oh, the Kinect. The future is now, thanks to motion
Capture.
gaming. No, clearly it was not. But this was a few years ago when it was still something that people were excited for.
Yes.
If you have the nimble ability to replicate all these moves you see these video game characters perform in a day-to-day experience,
Yeah, then you can actually play the game still.
flips and flops and acrobatics and hanging from ledges, and of course the traditional Assassin's Creed experience of the great leap of faith off a building. Make sure you get that motion captured. Do a flip onto your floor.
And all the family members in this trailer horrified seeing the player do that.
Someone goes through a table at one point.
Yeah.
It's just crazy mess.
And then you got a little kid with the hidden blades from the wrist. Very funny. But I think my favourite part of that trailer is actually seeing them just run in circles like they do in like the loading menus. Like that is so funny.
If you've ever played an Assassin's Creed game, you have the loading screens where you have control, but you're in just a nothing wasteland of virtual fuzziness.
Yep.
And for some reason, everyone seems to be inclined to just run in a big circle.
We've got to do something.
And I've done that. So when I saw on that trailer that the person is just running around their living room while the character runs in a circle on the screen, oh, that made me laugh.
I think almost everybody has done that. So I think it takes more self-control to just leave your avatar alone.
Is that not enough motion control for you? Because guess what everyone's favourite part of video games are? It's the underwater levels.
Ugh, yeah, no.
So why not enhance that experience of what is often the low point in a game by making it immersive? Or, should we say, submersive? Presenting PlayStation Flow.
Yep.
With VR goggles that are actually like goggles and little bands you have around your thighs and your arms.
Yeah.
Pause your game, pop them on and jump in the pool to make it a true experience.
Yes. And obviously we know this is fake, right? But the thing that I was thinking about as I'm watching this is when you're wearing VR goggles, you can't actually see in real life. So how do you know if you're underwater when you're going to hit the edge of the pool?
Dangerous.
Like
Not only that, you could be further down in the pool than you are in the game and think, oh, yeah, I'll just get some air. Oh, wait. I'm 2 meters away from the surface.
You end up drowning in real life instead of in game.
This is one of those trailers where it starts off looking like a legitimate product and gets progressively sillier as it goes on. As they have this super serious presentation of the PlayStation Flow, it cuts to a personal trainer in a pool just doing breaststroke going, this is great! Just stuff like
the way
that.
he says it reminds me of our friend Steve.
That's Mr. Steve, the good brother.
Good bro. I'm sorry. I know him as Scuba Steve.
Oh, that's even more appropriate. Guess what's coming in your birthday next time around? It's going to be the PlayStation Flow.
There you go, Scuba. One thing I would actually legit love to be real, though, from that trailer is not the goggles, but they have, they said to get you back to your PlayStation so you can dry off in, record time. They have this, platform you stand on that dries you in seconds. I'm like, yes, please.
So I was half expecting it when it said get back in the game as soon as possible. I thought the person was just going to walk through the house sopping wet and just sit on the couch and leave a big wet stain on that couch. Thankfully not.
No. Watch out, Google Stadia. It looks like you've technically been ripping off Apple iPlay.
Apple iPlay, you say?
Which I believe is an IGN original prank. They basically, anything you've heard at the Google Stadia conference recently was what Apple iPlay was all about, of taking games that you would have on your mobile phone and having them basically go through the Apple TV process, but then up on the TV screen.
Wow. The future is now. Thanks to
Yes.
Apple.
So the similarities between that prank and Stadia now is kind of almost eerie.
Yes, IGN do have a great track record, particularly in the video game movie trailer business.
Yes.
They spent almost a full year and a considerable budget one time to make a Legend of Zelda movie trailer that at the time quite a few people thought were legitimate until the end of the trailer where it said releasing April 1st the following year. Without that, and at the time, in this day and age, it would look more accurately to say it's a Netflix original, that sort of style and budget. But hey, the Legend of Zelda movie, of course, what better thing to have in a movie than a mute protagonist for the entirety of the runtime?
Well, it has been done, but in silent movies. And The Artist. But there have been a lot of fake video game movie trailers, and frankly, a lot of them look so much better than real video game movies. But anyway, one that was really funny.
Bar's not set that high.
One that I kind of wish was real just because it looks like comedy gold was a movie for Halo.
Ooh, you've got my attention.
done Bollywood style.
Oh, you really got my attention.
In full on, like, there was like subtitles for this trailer. There was like songs that were written for this trailer. Full on Bollywood dances, and oh, it's just so funny.
Absolutely absurd.
Yes, and because we've got relatives who know that watch a lot of Bollywood movies. My sister lives in South Africa and has a lot of the Indian friends and in-laws.
Mm-hmm.
So she's very familiar with Bollywood culture. Part of me wants to send this to her today.
The great crossover.
Be like, look, found this great new movie for you.
Top stuff. And if you have a nostalgic place for the old VHS movie trailer that you'd always have after you rented a movie from the local Blockbuster or whatever your preferred video shop was, you'd sit through the trailers at the start or perhaps fast forward them, but nothing captures that weird, distorted noise, both visually and audibly, than the Dark Souls 3 VHS trailer, presenting it as a movie from like the 80s.
Yes, with all the fuzziness and the lines going through everything.
And the music gives it that...
Kind of like Stranger Things.
Like just not quite perfect quality.
Slightly off key.
It's amazing how far technology has come that I watched that and thought, well, it's completely normal.
I know. We didn't know any better. That was just how it was.
Well, little did we know the future was coming thanks to the digital versatile disc. Yeah, you can put a movie on a disc.
Laserdisc.
Oh dear.
One that tricked a lot of people. Titanfall announced that joining the lineup would be Optimus Prime.
I believe this might have been another IGN little sneaky. Titanfall's all about the giant robots. Who better to have as a DLC character than Optimus Prime?
Autobots roll out.
Now, this was one that actually did get a lot of people because of the accuracy and the...
It looked legit.
Yeah, it could happen.
They were good at making really convincing fake ads and announcements. And when you're already a reputable source for these kind of announcements where...
Breaking news.
Yeah, and a lot of developers and studios will give you first scoop because it is kind of at the top of the gaming news peak. Because they've got access to... those kind of resources more than others, that people would be more willing to believe them, and so they have more power than to deceive us gamers, and they do a good job of it every year.
If you hit that sweet spot where it's believable enough without seeming too absurd or too underwhelming, people might buy into it.
Yes.
I will refuse to believe Kirby is a square, but Optimus Prime in Titanfall, we're in business.
One that I think would be really fun, I kind of wish was real. Just for the funness of it all. Rock band apparently releasing 3 songs from SpongeBob SquarePants.
Not Metallica.
No, and I tell you what, if they don't include the fun song, then I'm not getting it because it's just not worth it otherwise. But seriously, I would love an edition of those kind of games with silly songs like that. For me, that would just be so much fun and ridiculousness. It would be perfect.
Well, that is the sort of April Fool's release that actually might have an audience.
Exactly.
They actually do it, and people are like, oh, what the heck is this? And some people are like...
Yes, please, take my money.
Now, I have been a long-term fan of the Ace Attorney series. It's gone on for about 7 entries at the moment. And unfortunately, that's not all the games there are, because there is another spin-off series set many hundreds of years in the past, which roughly translate as The Great Ace Attorney, with of course, being a lawyer runs in the blood, obviously. And the reason we don't have that game, by the way, is because it features a certain person called Sherlock Holmes, and unfortunately, there's copyright issues involved in that. So thanks. But the big news revealed a few years ago was that a special edition would be coming out where everybody was a dog. Anthropomorphic... I can't even say that word. Anthropomorphic. Dog people. Living dogs. They're basically dog people. Talking dogs. I wonder if this was after the era of the resounding success of Hatterful Boyfriend. That would explain it.
Dying Light, a game that you had been playing quite recently,
Loved it.
changed their physics levels crazy high so that you could send someone flying into the sky with just one punch. You could be One Punch Man. You could be the giants from Skyrim in Dying Light.
Now, this is the sort of thing that I love, where people just sign on to their favourite game, not expecting anything to be different because they haven't seen any trailers or anything, and you whack an enemy and they go flying. And you're just like, what on earth was that? What a glitch. And then you hit the next dude, same thing happens. For one day only, you just change a little, let's change the setting from a 6 to a 500. That's the sort of stuff I love, where they just tweak the balance of the game for that one day. You never know what's going to happen.
Just a stealth drop for April Fools.
You might expect that more from games that do get ongoing support, like a Fortnite. I mean, everyone's got their theories about what Fortnite's going to do today.
Imagine if they did nothing.
I just like that style of the unexpected change.
I do too. And Pokemon Go kind of did that. It wasn't really so much a prank. It was just kind of a special release, and people weren't sure if it was a prank as, you know, the Pogo community started, you know, tweeting about it and sharing it in group chats of, oh, there's a Pikachu wearing Ash's hat, but he photobombs you if you take a picture of your Pokemon, and everyone's like, is this real?
I've been through this before. Now, recently in Pokemon Go, they have added a feature where you can take photos of your own Pokemon in the wild. Just throw them out there and take a photo, and you get photobombed by Smeargle, who is a goat with a paintbrush tail.
Not Smeargle?
No, Smeargle.
Okay.
And then, of course, April Fool's Day. Oh, you can get photobombed by a Pikachu wearing Ash's hat. No,
Sounds fake.
I'm
right?
not falling for that. You photoshopped
But it's real because we did
real.
it, and you can catch the Pikachu once you exit the photo mode and go back to the map. He'll be there, and you can catch it. And that's how I got my first female Pikachu with the little love heart tail.
Perfect.
That's very cute.
And speaking of Pokemon Go, predating Pokemon Go, Google did drop a little announcement.
Yes, they did. Pokemon Master. Imagine if they had actually followed through with this, right? Then they would be making the money.
Oh, if only they'd done this, then Google would be rich.
They'd be richer.
Oh.
Okay. They made a fake trailer for Pokemon Master as far as being able to use your phone and capture, much like Pokemon Go, Pokemon in the wild.
Find them on the map around the world, 151, whatever, how many Pokemon?
They did follow through with one part, though, where you could go and open Google Maps, much like you can today with the whole train snake game, where you could find the 8-bit kind of art style Pokemon in the maps around the world.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of fun, and it got a lot of buzz when they did that. So it's kind of sad. You kind of look at it and you're like, well, you could have capitalized on so much more, guys.
And of course, if you were the first person to capture all the Pokemon around the entire world, you get a position at Google, a well-paying job, Pokemon Master.
Yes. Not a real job, but
what an employment opportunity.
It sounded like, and you got to think, so many of us, you've said many times your dream job was to be a Pokemon trainer. You'd have been salivating. Imagine being able to actually say that was real.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
What also is good? I love exclusive content, and unfortunately sometimes a game only becomes exclusive because of budgetary constraints. They don't have the resources to spread it across multiple consoles. I'm a big Banjo-Kazooie fan, so when some of the staff who worked on that game many years ago were releasing Yooka-Laylee, unfortunately they had to do some cuts. They announced on April 1st a few years ago that it had to be released only for the Sega Saturn due to budget runs. So it's a shame. Strange choice.
Yes, we're putting it out on an obsolete game console.
A dead console.
Yep. Very funny.
Fun stuff. Another one of my favourites from years gone by was when GameFAQs.com, a place where I travelled quite frequently in my youth to get the latest goss, message boards, game tips, cheat codes, everything, decided that no, this is too much. We're going to only allocate resources to make this game facts with an X, and we're only serving the public in the world of the Xbox console now. No Nintendo, no Sony, no Sega. Nothing. It's game facts with an X. Green layover. Perfect. Some people were
Simple.
not happy with that because they couldn't access anything else.
I think for us, though, one of our all-time favourite video game pranks that have happened for April Fools came from the guys from Witcher 3, where they actually got the whole team kind of in on this, where, you know how they do like those behind-the-scene videos and they're explaining how they did motion capture for one scene, or how they struggled with getting the lighting right for something else. Like, they'll talk about the behind the scenes making of process.
Yes.
And they get the developers in, they get the director in, they sometimes get the actors in, and they'll show all this behind the scenes kind of secret stuff. And it starts off looking very convincing, very much like other videos they'd released about The Witcher 3.
Yes. Now, the main horse in the game, Geralt's horse, his
Roach.
name's Roach. So, of course, they wanted to do a behind the scenes on Roach's role in the game, and they ran into a bit of a problem during development in that the movements were too realistic of poor Roach.
Yes, it was causing motion sickness, and how can we help stop that, because it was just too realistic.
Why don't we have some glitches and some bugs to just remind people they're playing a video game so they don't get too wrapped up in this world of reality?
Yes.
Unfortunately, Roach did have a habit of defying physics, shall we say. Nothing like seeing a horse standing on its front two hooves with its butt almost vertically above its head, doing push-ups to take you out of a fantasy world.
Or, like just almost butt scooting through the air. There's so many funny bugs linked with this horse.
So thankfully, the wonderful creators at CD Projekt Red took us behind the scenes to the motion capturing of these famous...
Very
of
deliberate
course.
bugs, There wasn't an accident. These were planned.
And once you see two men in a horse costume... with one of them above the other, the horse head at the bottom, and they're doing the push-up move. It's just perfection.
So funny.
They interview the horse motion capture artist who is doing the voices of horse noises while wearing a horse mask.
the rubber ones you see all the time.
Basically just flapping the end of the rubber mask in the microphone to get this...
I will take those voice acting techniques to heart. Next time I have to do animal noises, we actually have a mask like that. I
The wonderful world of voice acting.
could replicate it.
And they did also reveal the larger role that Roach was supposed to have in the story, including voice acting. Wonderful stuff. And just the fact that it starts off so normal, you sort of get a feeling that something's strange about this video, about Roach's role in the game. And then the absurdity begins. That has got to be probably my favourite all-time April Fool's Day video in the gaming world.
Yes. I mean, there's been so many, and there's a lot more we could cover, but we just wanted to highlight some of our favourites, and I'm sure there'll be many more to come out today. So again, keep an eye on our social media pages, Facebook and Twitter especially, for any links that we share, so you can watch some of these hilarious videos or share in some of the other jokes that will inevitably come out over the course of today. And happy pranking.
Just keep it civil.
Yes.
Let's not cause anyone property damage or emotional distress, please.
Yes, so stop teasing us about Kodor and release it already. Before we get to gaming goals, though, I do want to cover some other gaming news, because you've reminded me that we're getting our hopes up right.
Okay.
For anyone who does follow us on social media might have noticed that I had been tweeting about Persona 5, The Royals.
The Royal.
And so there is still a lot of debate going on about whether this is just an additional character or if it's going to be the protagonist. And I swear, I'm like, I'm getting my hopes up a little too much.
Well, for starters, don't believe anything you see on social media about that game today, because if they were going to tease it, it would be today.
Today would be the day to be crushed. Get my hopes set up a little too much.
You still have a couple of weeks to wait for more information about that at the Persona Live P-Sound Q-Bomb concert, or whatever it's called. It's got a weird name. I wish I was there just so I'd have a ticket stub. Fantastic. Fantastic stuff.
Also announced this week, Borderlands 3.
Is this an April Fool's joke?
And Reese is alive! He's not just in Telltale games, he is in the official games now.
It's canonical.
Yes, and Troy Baker has been petitioning pretty hard on Twitter to actually get to revoice Reese.
Darn well hope
he
so.
hasn't been able to confirm that he is the voice, which is a little worrying for fans. So we're like, come on, guys, it's Troy Baker. Like, come on. Can't be anybody else. So it makes me wonder who else they might bring back from that, which was pretty much my favourite Telltale games, like out of all the series. So
even if you had no experience with Borderlands, which you certainly didn't, I had very little before we started playing Tales from the Borderlands.
Mm-hmm.
Probably one of the funniest games I have ever played.
So funny.
Hands down. Without even knowing the world around it, it was still an acceptable starting point. So I'd recommend, if you have not played Tales from the Borderlands, even if you've never tried Borderlands, maybe you have played Borderlands, give it a shot. It's not the same gameplay as the Borderlands games, but it is certainly the same humour.
And art style, actually.
Yes, absolutely. And most importantly, in the reveal trailer for Borderlands 3, which I do want to emphasise is not an April Fool's joke, there's guns with legs running around shooting at you.
They're so cute. And more dancing claptraps, of course.
Of course. You'd expect nothing less.
So we don't really know much as far as story or anything. It's just a lot of teaser shots, really, of all old favourites returning, as well as new antagonists being shown, but it doesn't really give much as far as an actual plot or anything away. It's truly a teaser trailer, and with that one snippet we saw of Reese, who has a mustache now.
A sinister-looking mustache.
Who has us all freaking out, like, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? I don't know. So I'm just really happy that he's still around and that they've kept him and that they've acknowledged that the Telltale games are like part of canon, which just makes me really happy, especially given that they're gone now. So I think it's a beautiful homage.
The biggest tricky thing about that is the Telltale game is definitely a branching narrative with many different end results. So people can be alive, people can be dead, people can be
good or bad.
With, who knows how they're going to spin that in, but it's been done before. It's been done well in other games as well, so give it a shot.
They might.
Gearbox.
It's not like Borderlands is afraid of making meta jokes. So
perfect.
I think they'll use that to their advantage as far as explaining any inconsistencies away. So just very excited, very happy for that news, and we'll keep our eyes out for more of that.
Are we up to gaming goals now?
I believe so.
Well, before we get there, you just sit tight for a second.
Okay.
I'll be back.
No, what is this? Wait. He literally... Why did you leave me alone for? What is... So how are you? That's nice. I'm good.
I'm back.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi.
I was just having a conversation with listeners because you ditched us.
Okay, well...
What is this?
I had to make sure I bought you a present today.
Why?
Because it's April 1st, and I thought, what better day to buy you a video game?
No. This better not be Anthem.
Your favourite BioWare game. I just thought it had to be.
You wrapped it with Christmas wrapping paper.
That's all I could find.
Okay.
Aren't you so excited?
I'm very apprehensive. I feel like in Community when Troy had like the fake snakes in a can, but then he had emptied it and there's nothing actually in here and he's just sending me on a... Yeah, you just wrapped up Mass Effect 2.
But I had you worried for a second, right? And she's still checking the insides to make sure it's not actually Anthem.
You wouldn't be the first time you have just totally messed with me when it comes to gifts. Oh my goodness, Christmas and birthdays are a roller coaster. It's not just April Fools I have to watch out with you. There were times, okay, before we were even dating, he, one Christmas, wrapped up an old Nintendo DS box.
From my DS.
Filled it with Zappos, which are a lolly, like kind of like a sort of a sourish lolly here in Australia. And gave that, and that was the first part of my Christmas present. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, he gave me a DS, and then I opened it up, and it was full of lollies. And I'm like, oh, okay, good one, you got me. I like these lollies. Thank you very much. And then the next part of the present was another box. And then this time it was another DS box, but this time it was pink. I'm like, oh, okay, you're not going to fool me twice. What have you hidden in this box? Wait, what? It's a... You wait, what? Like, this is an expensive gift.
Yep, and it paid off because we
Yes.
spent many hours getting to know each other in PictoChat.
Yes. We'd be sitting right next to each other. We could have, actually talked, but we were just sending messages back and forth with PictoChat. But that's not the last time you've done something like that to me. You have given so many different things, like you inside a Nintendo Wii box, or Wii U box maybe, you put a camera, like a big DSLR camera for Christmas inside one of those. Like, you
It fit
always mess
perfectly
with me.
too.
Yes,
It was
did.
snug as a bug.
So I've had to do the same to you to kind of get revenge and mess with you a few times.
Well, I don't know why you're upset. I said I just wrapped your favourite BioWare game, and I did. Why did you think this was a prank?
Part of me, like this 5% of me that is still waiting for you to bring out something else.
No, that's all. I don't like to make April Fools too big of an issue, but this was just a little snippet.
You do realise though, right, that it's technically after midday now in Australia, so you're the
Hey,
fool.
we established that there's different time zones.
Oh, but we're not in those time zones, are we?
I was
No.
working off Indian Eastern Daylight Time.
Oh, good grief. Okay, I think it's time for our gaming goal.
Just quickly, I'm so glad you didn't just think it was Anthem, throw it on the ground and stomp on it.
Oh my word.
Imagine the joke would definitely be on you then.
I would not be happy. I would be so mad at you.
Your favourite game, and I trick you into destroying it with your own feet. My plan is complete now. It's like something a villain would do. Gaming goals.
Gaming goals.
Let's cheer you back up.
Yes.
I love you too much for that.
All right. I have had a few suggestions come through. We've had messages, we've had tweets, a lot of challenges, some for things that I've already played, so that's kind of cool. I'm like, yes, I've already done that, so ting.
I already feel like I've broadened my horizons now. I think I'm going to play Mass Effect 2.
Narcus had tweeted several suggestions to us on Twitter. From Horizon Zero Dawn, which I have played and platinumed, even with the DLC. Ooh, brag. Another one that he had mentioned was The Walking Dead on Telltale. I have started that game.
How far did you get in
I
that
got
game?
3 episodes deep. I have not played the last 2.
You couldn't handle it.
I am not great with zombie games. I get very queasy with them, even in animated form like that. Like, I'm just not...
Combination of the elevated stress hormones from the scariness of the game.
Just the tension that they build too.
coupled with a bit of gore.
Yeah.
Not two of your favourite things.
No, gore is probably my biggest hurdle for a lot of games. So if I can with certain games, I'll actually switch it off because I want to be able to enjoy the story in the game and the gameplay without wanting to throw up. So unfortunately for me, that's just how my body physically chemically reacts.
Oh, just stick your nose up. Can't play a game without vomiting. Goodness.
It's not. I can play games. It's just certain games. And what else? He had suggested The Witcher 3, which has actually been on my radar. So I think that's a contender. I'm
Been
just
on
wondering.
your radar. Been on my backlog.
Yes.
It's been purchased already. Let's
It's
put it
there.
that way.
It's sitting there. It's mocking us. So, and we have the full extended edition too because we bought it so late. So that might
That's just it. We were watching that Roach video and it said 2015 when we released the game. I'm like, hasn't been that long, has it? I got that game and I haven't played it yet. I'm so behind.
I know. So definitely on my list. I'm just worried that it might be too long.
Oh.
For the limited time I have before going overseas. So I'm like, if I throw myself into it and don't do anything else, but I still want to be able to enjoy Stardew Valley too, so I'm a little torn. Another one that was recommended by a couple of people was Red Dead 2. And again, it was really big games. the other thing is I'm like going, well, I love, and I've wanted, these games are on my backlog, which means a part of me feels like they're technically not outside my wheelhouse. So I'm like, I need to challenge myself with things that I don't generally gravitate towards. Not talking about like gory games, but like online multiplayer games.
We will see.
I had jokingly said last week that if someone challenged me to play Fortnite, that I would give it a go.
Fortnite's dead, man. You gotta move on.
I didn't get challenged to that. I got challenged to something else. Apex.
Apex Legends.
Yes. So I'm like, that seems the most out of my wheelhouse. It's feasible, and I believe we can play it on the PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
So no promises about getting very far, but I think this week, part of my gaming goals, I will try it. And I will probably die within like a minute.
Let's get the stopwatch out then.
I think we might need to film it.
Speaking of dying within a minute, that sounds exactly like my strategy against the latest boss I'm up to in Sekiro, so that is what I'll be doing. At least I can get through multiple attempts in a 1 hour session. Because
and making more NPCs sick.
I might cure them.
You might cure
if
them.
I get
How benevolent of you.
If I get too sick and tired of dying at the same boss, because this guy's a toughie, and I don't want to waste. That's the thing in this game. I don't want to waste my consumables. You have items that give you better defense, better attack, but I'm so scared if I use them and then die, I've wasted them. I need to use them when I know I can kill him. Secondly, the problem is I have tried to actually use one at the start of a fight, and you have to go through an animation to actually use it. And in the meantime, he's already up in my grill, to use traditional Japanese terminology from the feudal era.
That's where it came from.
And by grill, I mean my shichiban, my little charcoal grill.
Oh.
Miniature charcoal grills.
Yes. Yum. Oh, now I want gyukatsu. Thank you for that.
Well, thank you for that. Let's just go to Japan.
Yes, we don't have anything else on. So aside from my challenge, Apex Legends, I will continue most likely playing Stardew Valley. Yay!
Hooray!
Hooray!
The game that never ends, so you can't really set a gaming goal for it.
I know,
Congratulations.
it's just this ongoing, I will always be playing this.
Well, you've unlocked
From now
the
to the
quarry,
end of time.
I've unlocked the desert, you've unlocked this, I've unlocked that. So the race is on to see who can unlock everything first. Challenge accepted.
All right, go to work because I need to go play Stardew Valley.
It's not fair. Here's one for you to play. Psychological horror Dollhouse creeps onto the PS4.
No, thank you.
They want to play with you.
No, they can go play with themselves.
Outside of the... On that note, have a great week. I'm out of here. Chowski.
Bye, Nara.
Thanks for listening to the Gaming Lovers Podcast. For more episodes or to watch some live stream gaming, visit thegaminglovers.com.